A man with a violent temper and no job just proposed to an 18-year-old girl, and her uncle decided to shut it down completely.
All right. This story is called, Am I the Asshole for Shutting Down My Disabled Friend's Proposal to My? Let me read this to you.
Oh, this is gonna be good. Let's hear it.
Am I the asshole for shutting down my disabled friend's proposal to my niece? I have a friend who is with limited mobility where he always uses canes or a scooter to move around. I've known since primary school.
Hold on, so this guy's been around since primary school? And the original poster still knows him well enough to have opinions about his personality?
Yeah, but they're clearly not close anymore if they don't even say hi when they cross paths.
Right then, let's hear why the proposal even happened in the first place. One day my eldest sister called me telling me that this friend has reached out to her husband to ask for their daughter's hand, and since she knows I know the guy, she thought about consulting me.
So this dude went from primary school best mate to, I need to ask your dad if I can marry your daughter energy? That's a hell of a pivot.
Huh, yeah, that formal asking the father move is like, bro, they're not living in 1952. What are you doing?
Alright, so then. I replied with direct objection. The very first thing that made me objecting the proposal was my knowledge of this friend's temper. He is the kind who is always angry and aggressive. I've seen him many times getting in fights with others for petty things, and at some occasions the fights went from verbal to physical. Yes, he has limited mobility, but I've seen him jumping over and throwing punches.
Wait, this man has a documented history of getting into physical fights over petty things, and he's asking to marry someone's teenager? That's not a detail you bury.
Nah bro, that's the whole case right there. Angry, aggressive, and now targeting a young girl. A man who fights over petty things is exactly the kind of man who'll fight his wife over petty things. Nah bro, if this guy's been getting in fights since primary school, that's not a phase, that's who he is.
And people age out of it sometimes, sure, but the original poster knows him now as an adult, and he's still like that.
Wait till you hear what happens next. My second argument for the objection is a combination of the age gap, my friend's employment situation, and his health situation. I know my niece very well, and she is kind of a naive. I don't know what he has told her to convince her about the proposal. With all my due respect to the guy, but to be honest, I couldn't understand what a very young girl would like about a man who is 11 years older than her, who doesn't have a stable job and struggling financially, who is not attractive at all, and in a health condition that is requiring constant care.
So he's broke, disabled, has a temper, and she's naive? What exactly was his pitch here? Marry me and become my full-time caregiver?
That is the thing though, when you line up all those factors together, it stops looking like romance and starts looking like targeting.
The rejection already happened, but let's hear his response to the criticism.
Here is the thing though, this isn't really about him being disabled. It's about him being volatile, unemployed, and young enough to target someone naive. The disability is just context for why a young girl would feel protective. That's not love, that's control wrapped in vulnerability.
Exactly. If he was disabled, employed, and not angry all the time, nobody would have a problem.
Okay, listen to this next part.
Brah.
I couldn't fathom picturing my very young niece caring for a disabled broke man and being victim to his bad temper, instead of enjoying her life with a caring one. So I told my sister to reject the guy's proposal, explaining her my arguments. And that's what happened. They rejected the proposal and my niece didn't argue about it, as she was convinced with the arguments.
The original poster's over here playing family bodyguard. You're not marrying this one. Meanwhile, his niece is 18 and probably thinking her uncle's the coolest person alive right now.
Ha ha. No, wait, actually, if your uncle just saved you from marrying an angry broke guy, he the coolest. That's called wisdom, my friend.
Huh. Now this is where it gets interesting.
Being a good uncle means you say the quiet part out loud sometimes.
What do you think? Am I right to object such proposal, or am I the asshole?
If you want to hear how this ends, make sure you follow FPM Stories so you don't miss the next one. He's asking if he's the asshole for stopping a proposal where his niece would have been a caregiver to an angry man with no income. That's not being protective, that's being a parent.
See, here's the thing, some people think you should just stay quiet and let everyone figure it out themselves, but that's not real.
Fair point. Let's hear his actual relationship with this person, because that's what people are questioning.
The real question is, why did his sister even need to ask? That should have been immediate.
Maybe she was being polite, or maybe she actually wasn't sure. Either way, he gave her the information she needed to make the call.
And then, I see in a lot of comments people are questioning my relationship with the guy and how I call him a friend, and also why I'm having an opinion in my niece's personal life.
People are like, why are you even involved? Bro, his sister literally called him to ask his opinion. He didn't crash a wedding uninvited.
Huh, that's so wrong but so right. Right, he got pulled into it by family because they knew he had actual knowledge. That's not meddling, that's being the source.
But here's the thing.
They're calling him a meddler, but he's literally the adult who had the conversation no one wanted to have.
I'm originally from Tunisia and it's where I lived most of my life. The guy mentioned in the story used to be a friend of mine when we were younger through primary and high school. But no more. We can meet now and don't even say hi to each other. I use the term friend as that what he used to be, and in our Tunisian dialect the term might be used to describe anyone who used to be in your circle in the past, just a designation to position where others are to you, either friends, family, acquaintances or strangers, no matter your current relationship with them. I believe the idea slipped from my mind writing this post in English. My bad.
So culturally, the original poster's coming from a place where family input on marriage is normal, but he's specifically not forcing it, he's giving perspective. That's actually the opposite of what people are accusing him of. He told his sister made the call.
And she rejected it because of what he said, which means his warning actually landed because it was grounded in facts, not prejudice.
Facts.
As for my niece, it's her total legal right to marry whomever she chooses, and nobody can force her to approve or disapprove of anyone. Also, she could be dating to some extent, of course not living under the same room as that is not even legal, but she could be going out on dates and talking freely with any guy she likes, and I guess that's how her relationship with the disabled guy was.
I can't.
So he's acknowledging she has the right to choose, he just gave his perspective to the family first, that's not coercion, that's literally what family does.
Exactly. He's not saying she can't make her own choice. He's saying he warned them before she got locked into something.
And he's citing Tunisia's laws, which actually protect people from being forced either way.
Respecting her right to choose and warning her family beforehand aren't opposites. They're the same thing.
As I said, in Tunisia, no one can force an opinion when it comes to one's choice of who he or she wants to get married to. The law is strict about this, and you will get in big troubles if you coerce your daughter's subreddit son to either get married or stop his subreddit him from getting married. But it's a common practice that when someone is dating and especially thinking about getting married to make their due diligence, the man or the woman themselves would ask about their chosen one's social, financial, ethical, legal, religious, etc. status, and for their own parents to do the same, and give advice based on it. My sister and her husband consulted me about the disabled guy, I gave my honest opinion and they reported it to their daughter, and she was convinced that it's best to not approve of the guy for the reasons I mentioned. If my niece has chosen to marry this man despite my opinion and her parents' opinion, we couldn't stop her, and we would be in trouble if we tried to stop her by force.
Damn. Nah, he's not the asshole. Not even close. He gave his family factual information about a man with a documented history of violence and aggression who wanted to marry a naive teenager with no job and no stability. That's not meddling, that's being responsible. His sister made the actual decision, he just made sure she had the full picture.
Follow FPM Stories. We post every single day. Drop your verdict in the comments.
Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.